Hi, my name is Dr. Erica Jordan, and I'm here at the University of West Florida, where I work in the School of Psychological and Behavioral Sciences. I study parent and child relationships and discipline and punishment practices that parents use with young children. So I'm just going to talk to you for a few minutes today about some of the things that you want to keep in mind as you provide discipline and guidance to your children of various age groups. Most of my work does deal with young children. However, I think that you'll find that most of the tips that I have to share with you today will span across multiple age groups. The very first and most important, one of the most important tips that I have for you is to maintain age-appropriate expectations for the behavior of children. So, especially with preschoolers, we know that this is the group that parents find particularly challenging. Parents become more frustrated with preschoolers than they do with any other age group of children. This is because, my theory is that it's because even though these children are big, they're growing, they're talking, they're using complete sentences, they're moving around. It's very clear that they've made a number of advances in their thinking. They still are very young and immature in a number of ways. And so the parent is expecting at times more from the child than what the child is truly capable of at that present time. So you want to be sure that you maintain age-appropriate expectations. For instance, an example of an inappropriate expectation would be expecting a 3-year-old to sit quietly and not speak during a classroom setting or or for a couple of hours while you attend a meeting. We might all wish that that was an age-appropriate expectation for a preschooler, but it simply is not. Your moments are like an eternity for a young child. They want to speak, they want to move around, and truly that's what they should be doing at that age. You know, that's how kids learn, is through play and through interaction. So expecting them to be quiet and perfectly still for a long extended amount of time would be an example of an inappropriate expectation. So you do want to have age-appropriate expectations and not set the bar too high so that the child can actually meet those expectations. At the same time, some parents might have expectations that are a little bit too low for their child's behavior. So preschoolers are capable of doing things like saying please, for instance, and using good manners and sitting at the table without running around a restaurant. So we do want to keep the bar high enough so that the child is developing at an appropriate level. The second tip that I have for you is to choose your battles. So especially with young children, but even throughout the lifespan of kids, there are so many things that parents and teachers and other counselors want to instill in that child. We really want to be sure that they learn all of the lessons that they need to be successful in life. However, we have to remember that these kids are taking in an abundance of information every day. They're still new to the world, whereas we have been here for many decades, some of us. The child has only been here for a few years, and they've only been using language, for instance, for a few years, and they have to learn things gradually, and they have to learn lessons about how to behave appropriately gradually. Just like when we are learning new information for the first time, it often takes a few lessons before we completely understand that new material. And it's the same way with kids. So just because they're taught a lesson once doesn't mean that they should be expected to remember that lesson from here on out. It often takes repetition in order for them to learn the lesson appropriately. So you do want to choose your battles, choose what's most important at that developmental stage. You can't, recognizing that there's no way for you to teach a child everything overnight. So you want to look at what the child is capable of doing and build upon the knowledge that they already have at that specific stage of development. You'll find that some things, even though it might be frustrating at that moment, in the long run, they really don't make much of a difference. And as a parent or as a teacher, you definitely want to spend your time investing in those skills for behavior that are going to make a difference in the long run and that the child is actually capable of learning at that present time. So after you have chosen your battles and you've decided how your child needs to behave in a specific situation, you want to be sure that you set clear, explicit boundaries. So set clear ground rules for the child's behavior. It's helpful to discuss the rules and to discuss the standards for behavior during times when the child is not actually engaging in any sort of misbehavior. So, prep your child. If you know that you're going into the supermarket, for instance, which is supermarkets, it seems as though they're designed to create havoc for parents. But if you're going into the supermarket, say, we have to go into the supermarket. We have to get what we need to make dinner tonight. I'm going to expect for you to help me. You can help me choose fruits and vegetables or help me choose food items, and then you can help me to put them into the basket. But you need to stay close to mom or close to dad while we are in the grocery store. Or you'll need to sit into the shopping cart and I'm going to strap you in so that you are not hurt in the supermarket. So explaining to the child, this is how I expect you to behave when we are going into this setting, so that the child can go ahead and begin to prepare themselves. And then recognizing that we want to keep those age-appropriate expectations in mind. The supermarket, in some ways it's exciting, but then the child has to be still or stand close to you. You want to try to engage the child in this shopping trip. So, talk to the child as you're going through the shopping experience, have them help you to select the items, and really make the child part of any experience whenever you can. But setting those ground rules early on before a child actually engages in a misbehavior can really help you to be a thinking parent and to prevent some problems long before they even start.